Hey guys, my name is Ismail and welcome to another Blender Daily Tip, and today we're going to be looking at how to create a city in Blender. So let's dive in and get started. So what we're going to do is start with creating a few buildings that we're going to be using, and then use a particle system, hair system, to distribute them on a grid. So let's create a simple building here. Let's start with a cube. Let me also turn on random colors and cavity, scale it up to have a skyscraper. I'm going to do something very simple, not too much. So if you want to make your own city, you can make it a little bit better than mine. So just add in levels here. So that will be our building. Let me give it a simple material here. So let me turn to this and be reflect with some reflections. Then also create some glass effects. So that is going to be building one, and we can duplicate this and just make a few variations. We can scale it in the horizontal axis, maybe get rid of this dog thing, and then can add in a few loops here. If also just convert this into a single n-gon like so. Again, you can choose to be as detailed as you want, but I want B. Okay, so let's first use these three buildings, and make sure that the pivot point is at the bottom here. Is at the bottom of the building, because this is where the point of origin of the hair, or how the building is going to be distributed on the plane as a hair particle. So just move our cursor to selection, and then do that, and then snap the pivot point to the cursor. So to distribute this on our grid, we are going to first convert them, group them into a collection. So just hit M and then create a new collection. I'll call this buildings, and so the hair particle. The hair system, particle system, will select randomly from this collection what building to add to on a grid, to add to the grid. So let's create our grid here. Just use a simple plane. Maybe let me, I don't know, maybe give it a darker material like that. Let me also get this building away from the grid, and then we can go to the particle system. Let me make sure this is recording. Then we can go to the particle system, add a new particle system, switch from the emitter to hair, and it should add hair like that. And each strand here is going to turn into a building, any building here in our collection. So now we can go to the render settings. Do we have render settings here? To the hair shape. What? Yeah, to the render settings, and then change from path to collection. There is an option to select an object, but this will only let you select one object like that. But the collection option will let you use a group or a collection of buildings like this, and use them at random. So you see that you can see that our buildings are oriented in the wrong axis. Let's first apply the rotation so that it matches our world or scene, and now we can come back to the particle system and try to play around with the advanced. Check on advanced so that you access the rotation and velocity settings, so that we can vary the rotation and scale of each building. So under rotation, actually if you go under render, I should be able to pick to choose the rotation of your object as the rotation of the hair particles. So if I select this, you can see it has changed the rotation, but still not it's still not orienting to the correct orientation. So what I found to work is that if you check this map, where is it? Yeah, object rotation, and then I rotate these buildings, you'll see that the particle buildings will start to rotate in the same way as these buildings. So you just need to figure out which axis to rotate these buildings to get the right orientation. So if you rotate this on the y-axis 90 degrees, you can see we get the correct orientation like that. I'll try changing a different background image. You can see, but they all have the same height. So since we have the advanced settings turned on, we can come in and start playing with some of the settings. So this normal value will just increase the scale a bit, but if you wanted to randomize the scale, you can come here to the random. Okay, this is the random. It's randomizing all the values here, including I think it's called let me first remove these. I think it's randomizing all these values here, and we have this tangent which is controlling the rotation, and it's also randomizing that. That's why you're seeing we get a random orientation for the different objects. So we can also try under the render settings. There is an option for the scale, but also a random scale, which will simply randomize the scale of the buildings. I think because we have too many buildings, some buildings might start intersecting. I haven't seen any that are intersecting, but also I don't like these buildings to be too small, too short like that. So I'll just increase them a bit, maybe reduce the random scale a bit. And the best thing about working like this is that you can come in and design a different building. So let's say we get this. It will still, because it's still in the same collection, as you can see from here, we can design a different building here, give it a different design, and that design will be included in our new collection, and it should be added to the buildings we have here. If I can find it, you can see it is there. You see we are starting to see some intersecting. So what we can do, we can go back to the particle system and start playing around with placement of these buildings. So under source, you can see we have faces, vertices. Because we have only 4 vertices, it's just adding all the particle systems, all the particles, all the buildings to those 4 vertices, so this would not be a good way to add them. We can try volume, and maybe the number of buildings we have are just too high, so it's just too high, so let's try 200 and see. This is not too bad, but I think it's a bit too less, so let's try 300, and this is getting better. So we are lacking roads in this city, so what I can do is come in into edit mode and start placing a few edge loops that I can use as roads, and I will also have some diagonal roads like that, maybe another one like that, maybe something like this, and just to give them width, I'm just going to bevel them. So I'll select this. Let's also have this go through like that, maybe another one going like that, and another one like that. Let's see how this looks. If we bevel this, you can see. Let's try the lower settings and see if we can get rid of this angle here. So we have patch, arc. It doesn't do much. No. Let's leave it at that. So let's see, clamp. Okay, that will do. So just to make sure that these roads are straight, I think we can have a road like this anyway. So let's just bring this, straighten it up, and maybe straighten this road as well. I can cut these to go like this. Now I can select these roads, and let's give them a vertex group, or let's first insert them, because the vertex group will also be selecting, they are sharing the same vertex as other faces that are not part of the road. So let's first insert them like that, and you can also give this street pavement, and by just pushing these roads just down a bit. But you can see that our buildings are also going through the roads, which is not good. Maybe let's also give them a different material, assign, and just so we can see them clearly, maybe make them a bit darker. And for this material, let me duplicate it. So we want the buildings to be in these spaces, not on our road. So we can go to the object data, mesh data, and then let's invert the selection so that we create a vertex group from. I don't want the roads to share the same vertices with the other selection. So let me first invert this and then increase the selection and then invert, so that the roads are not sharing the same vertex with these areas. You can also just hit P to separate the mesh so that you don't have to deal with vertex groups. But let's first play with the vertex group and see how that looks. So under vertex groups, let's create a new one, then assign, and if we go to weight mode or weight paint, you can see the roads are different color from the grid. So let's go back to object mode, and under vertex paint, sorry, under the particle systems, there is an option for, let me first expand this a bit. There's an option for thing is called vertex groups, and so the density will ask for a group that tells Blender where to add buildings and where not to. So I don't know why this is rotated like this. Oh, I think it's being added. It's being added. This building here is being added on this face here. So let's see how we can fix that. So if we go under animation, so let's just play around with a different face vertex. Something like that. So let's see. You know what? I think the best way to approach this is let's just select the rod. Let's just select the rod. So if we go to the materials, we can select all the rod's material, and then increase the selection so that we're selecting also this face that is creating the problem, and just hit P to separate that. Because this was part of the mesh that had the particles, it also retains the particle system. So let's first remove that, then undo this. You can see now we have removed that rogue building that was there. So I think we can now subdivide this a few times so that we add more building, we distribute the buildings more evenly, and maybe let's use volume. Maybe increase the building count. So in the field weights, sorry, in the what was it? What vertex group? There is an option for length. So that means we can come in under vertex groups. We can create a new vertex group by simply painting over the mesh using weight paint. So let's create a new vertex group here and use a brush to paint the middle here, like so. And now we can go back to the hair settings and select group 1 for the length. You can see how we are making the buildings on the outside be more taller than on the middle of the city, become more taller than the buildings on the outside. The problem is the blue area just represents a very small height. So what we can do is reduce the vertex paint. So to change the color that you're painting, you just have to go through the vertex group, and I think you need to go to edit mode and change the weight here, the weight value here, and okay, that seems okay. I don't know, they changed, I think, the setting, but okay, yeah, so they moved the settings. Instead of being at the top here, you just have to go to the properties panel here at the top. It's always the top here, and you can change the weight here that you're painting. You can see now we are changing the color, which will also change the height of the building. So red 01 is going to paint the tallest buildings, so we want them to be in the middle, and then let's give it a height of point something like there. Like something like that, and maybe We can also change the blend mode here. Let's try overlay. Let's try add and see what happens if we do that. Yeah, I think that's better because it's just adding on the height. And let's subtract a bit. So just change this to subtract. So there is a brush for that, so we can just use that. I want to retain the tallest buildings in the middle, like that. And again, you can come back to the particle system and look at what other settings you have there. And for the density, we can also come back to the system here, and you see we have a uniform density. So we can come in and start reducing that by painting. Let's subtract on the outskirts here, reduce at the density of buildings there. Yeah, so basically that's how you can, those are some of the techniques you can use to create buildings, and you can also duplicate some of these. Remember, every time you duplicate a building, because it's still in the collection of the buildings, it's also going to be added to this. And now we can scale this to make it taller. And right now there are too many in our collection, so let's rename some of these buildings. Let's rename this, just this one here. I'll call it ice cube 4 so I can tell what it is. So I can, if you want to reduce the number of that building in this distribution, just have to go back to the hair system, particle system, and under render, under the collection, you can choose not peak random. I think whole group. Okay, use count to give you a count of how many buildings you want to have. It's actually a ratio instead of a count. So you can see we have a 1-to-1 building. So Blender is adding the same amount of buildings. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not biased to what building is added more than the other. So it's just using the same number of buildings in the particle system. So we want this to be reduced for this one. So we know that it's called cube 4. So we can come to the cube 4 here and just reduce the count. You can see because this is a ratio, and now it's set to 0. We have removed all the cube 4 buildings. So if we want more buildings, less buildings of this, we just need to increase the ratio of other buildings. So if I increase this and also increase these other ones, you can see we're slowly reducing these pointy buildings. So I can also go in and increase some of these. You can see every time we increase those, we are also reducing this. You can see now we have fewer. Just need to put a sun somewhere. And let's reduce the strength a bit. And you have your city, and you can see how our street looks. Okay, so this building is entering our cities, the road a bit, so we can either reduce the road or paint this area to have no building. So let's go to our particle system, our group settings. So this is the density. This is for the height, so you can name it height, and this is the density. So we want to paint the density. So let's go back to white paint, and just to remove that single building, I think the brush is still set to subtract, so let me also increase the weight. I can just paint away that part. So the way you paint your vertex painting is dependent on the density of your vertices on the mesh. So sometimes you just have to increase the vertex count to paint correctly. So you can see here. See how I've removed that. Maybe this here too. I can remove that as well. Yeah, so that's how you remove any buildings you don't want there. Yes, just use mix here. Or if painting is too much, you can just, I guess I would do a tutorial on how to do vertex painting. You can just select these vertices and go to the object data and assign them a weight. So let's give them that weight. Maybe you should do this in weight paint so that you can see. And you can see now we have a line that shows Blender that there shouldn't be any building there. And we can also increase the selection and then assign another density there, so that we know for sure there won't be any buildings crossing there. But now we have given them too much room away from the road, which is making our city not look good. I think maybe it's actually looking better depending on how you're doing it. Maybe you can add a flyover here and here and make your street. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you then.